probably has a disability that relates to a chromosomal deletion that is something he had at birth. And so it causes him to have certain issues with his learning. The Norths filed what's called a due process complaint, which is an administrative lawsuit, in order to try to get an appropriate education for your child.
And by the time we actually filed due process formally, we had done all we could do to make it work. We tried for 3 straight years to work with the school and make it work, and it just kind of hit this point where we watched our son before the age of 8 increasingly learn to hate school, learn to hate learning, and over time those feelings stopped pointing outward at school and learning, and he started pointing them inward, and he learned to start not liking himself.
He was becoming depressed at 8. He was having thoughts about whether or not he wanted to be alive, which was a shock to us.
Sometimes the best decision for any parent when you see your kids in trouble is to reach in and pull them out. We independently removed him from his public school and put him in the Curry Ingram Academy. Well, the case was still ongoing and we hadn't won yet, and the growth and the progress and the degree that he was just thriving. In his first year, which was 3rd grade, we knew we were doing the right thing.
What we're looking for here is to try to educate this kid the right way. And it's so contentious that we're doing an 8-day due process hearing. It was a little disconcerting from that perspective. After that 8-day hearing, the administrative law judge did not rule in our favor.
By the time we got to that verdict, our resources were depleted. In addition to refinancing our home and selling assets, reach out to family and ask family to help us continue with this. And that came to an end. So when we lost the first trial and decided to go into the appeal, that's when we went to the Legal Aid Society. We were finally able to just relax and focus on the facts of the case. And that was really when everything started to really turn around.
So after about a 3-year period, in the federal district court, the federal district judge overturned the administrative law judge's decision and said Curry Ingram did provide an appropriate education, and ultimately ordered that the District of Tennessee pay for what ended up being about 5 years of schooling at Curry Ingram.
He started in 3rd grade, and our case ended at the end of 8th grade.
He was 8 years old when we filed due process. He was 15 years old when we finally signed the last piece of paperwork.
It is not an understatement to say that but for legal aid, we would not have gotten the result that we did had we not had the ability to make this a pro bono matter, because we may not have stayed in it as long as we did.
This was over. This was over. We had lost, we were out of money, and our only chance was, number 1, getting an interview with legal aid, number 2, getting accepted. I hope more attorneys have that perspective of what can happen because of pro bono, what can happen because of legal aid. That the work Joel did that is going to benefit Foley for the rest of his life.
We have a co-equal obligation as lawyers to take on work that's going to make a difference. It might be serving a nonprofit, it might be litigating a case for someone you get on a walk-in clinic, or I might be doing a case like this. When we got the favorable ruling in the federal district court, I was as elated as I've ever been in a commercial case, and maybe even more, because I knew what it meant to them, and I knew that it's kind of changed their son's life. If anything, it's maybe one of the sweetest victories I've ever had.